Attention. If you owe back taxes to the IRS, watch this urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by hiring 87,000 new agents to garnish your paycheck and put liens on homes and businesses. They can even seize your bank account. The IRS calls it enforced compliance, and now they have the manpower to get you. Penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily. So call One Stop Tax Relief Shop and get the IRS off your back. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. And no other tax shop gets you more or faster approvals. One Stop Tax Relief has resolved thousands of cases since 2014 and saved clients millions of dollars. Call now for a free consultation. Connect with tax professionals who get the IRS off your back.
Call 800-605-0688. 800-605-0688.
One Stop Tax Relief Shop.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. Dave Weishottle with you. I have been amazed at the expansion of gambling and sports betting, especially in Canada. Ontario is such an amazing market and has just gotten better because of the presence of Fitzdares. Fitzdares is a legendary UK bookmaker with an absolutely incredible history. And now the people of Canada can share in that great tradition. And we're going to find out all about this iconic bookmaker because we have the CEO of Fitzdares, William Woodhams, on the line. William, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dave. It's a pleasure to be on.
Oh, I can't wait to hear all about Fitzdares. I mean, it's such a legendary bookmaker and really famous around the world. But there are a lot of people in the United States and North America that are brand new to sports betting. Tell us a little something about Fitzdares and really their incredible history in the gaming industry.
Well, Dave, I don't agree with you at all. I think there are I think there are lots of people in North America who know lots about sports betting. They've just not been doing it legally. It's been it's been a roller coaster, and you can just look at the share prices of historic bookmakers, listed bookmakers in the UK, and how now reliant they are on North America for their business. This is, the biggest market on the planet has opened up, and it's opening quicker than we expected, and we expected it to open quick. But historically, we're the world's oldest bookmaker. We're historically a horse racing bookmaker, which was obviously the biggest gambling sport in the UK for over 100 years. We've been doing it since 18 something, I can't remember. We're bedded definitely in horse racing, but as global sport gambling and wagering has taken off, we're obviously now from hockey through to NBA through to soccer bookmaker, and obviously casino now online is a big part of our business. So but we're definitely, and the reason I hope you're interested in it, Dave, is because we come at it very differently. I think the big brands that have launched in North America and Ontario have been very Pepsi, Coke, very similar to each other. Very similar marketing messages, very similar ambassadors, very similar products. And we come at it all based around customer service and based around a kind of luxury proposition. So very different to what's out there.
I love that about reading about Fitzdares and your customer service, which is, I think, second to none. And I've been exposed to a lot of the bookmakers in the United States. I mean, and your customer service really leads to sports bettors with what I call discriminating tastes and a desire for the better things in life. I mean, you even have something called the Fitzdares Club, which is an incredible concept. Tell us something about the Fitzdares Club and the type of sports bettor Fitzdares attracts.
Yeah, so I would say we're probably on the, in the UK, we call it an ABC one, a kind of higher earning, C-suite executive sort of thing. And obviously we service all the sports stars who like to have that discretion, but also being able, one of the great powerful tools we have in the UK is that you can pick up the phone to us and the phone will ring once. You'll talk to someone who knows sports back to front and can take a bet up to equivalent of $500,000 without checking with the manager. And that for a particular type of audience is absolutely critical. If you're staying at a Ritz-Carlton or a Four Seasons, you expect to pick up the phone if you want to change your room. You can't do it all online. And particularly that type of audience, probably a little bit older, love having great customer service and a team that they can pick up the phone to. So that's critical for us in the UK. But as we expand into North America and obviously Ontario, we're hoping, Wire Act and geolocation are barriers to that level of customer service, particularly with placing bets. But we're hoping to get our heads around it and make the technology work. In answer to your question about the club, we didn't really have a home because we didn't believe in sort of retail shops for betting.
Sure.
But what we did believe in was great wine and watching sport. And so in London, we set up the Fitzdares Club about 3 years ago, which is basically, I don't know, it's sort of if the Four Seasons did a sports bar, it's kind of like that. Amazing food, amazing wine. We have tons of very high quality TVs built into the walls, lots of art based on sport. And then that's grown into that we've built one on a racetrack. We've built another one with a golf club about an hour and a half outside London in the Cotswolds, which is a kind of very desirable part of the UK to live in. And then we build a temporary one at the Cheltenham Festival, which is a big horse race meeting, which is this week. And we literally build a clubhouse, with furnishings and wallpaper and staff from scratch on track for this big race meeting. So we're going to extend that into soccer and hopefully in Ontario, the Fitzdares Club will be coming this year.
Wow, that's great. You mentioned expansion. I want to ask you, why did you feel that Canada was the perfect market for Fitzdares to expand into? What was it about Canada and its potential customer base that you found so attractive for Fitzdares?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. I think we knew we had an engaged audience that legalized April last year, but we knew Canadians love sport. They love iGaming or casino as well. And Toronto, I mean, we launched last month in Toronto. We did a big party we did a Super Bowl party in a very smart restaurant called Harbour 60. But within kind of a quarter of a mile from Harbour 60, you're at the Maple Leafs, you're at the Raptors, you're at the Blue Jays, you're basically at the CBD equivalent downtown Toronto. So it's a great sports town, and 60% of the wealth in Canada is within a kind of 20-mile radius of Toronto. Wow. So it's a big bit of business. It's an engaged piece of business. There's historically been quite a big grey market there. So we'd already seen some of the numbers come out pre-legalization. Post-legalization, those numbers haven't disappointed. It's a big market. And you just have to go there to feel it. And it's a country that's doing very well. Out of the G7 economies, the UK is worst, and Canada is up there with, the US as being the top growing economy. So it's a hot place to do business, but a great place to do business.
One of the great things about Canada is not only did it allow sports betting, but it also allowed online casinos. I'm going to ask you about sports betting in a minute, but I want to first ask you about your online casino product. What does Fitzdares offers to its customers in Canada in terms of an online casino platform?
Well, it's built by our FSB, our tech partners who are based in London, but actually Canadian backed. I can get into the details of the casino, but really the truth of it is that 70% of business is going to be in iGaming for operators out there, and that's what we've seen month one. There's not really in the UK and Europe to a certain extent, and Australia, you've got an always-on product in horse racing. It's not. Yes, there is horse racing in the province of Ontario, but it's not been integrated into the sportsbook tech platforms, the apps, for want of a better word. So that product, that always-on sports gambling product, isn't really there. You've got your big hockey moments, your big basketball moments. But unless you're trying to persuade someone in Toronto to, bet on Asian soccer lines, there isn't really an always-on product for them. So that's where iGaming comes in and fills that void quite nicely. In the UK, you'd be looking for 45% of your business to be from online casinos, but it's going to be 70 to 80% until we start seeing great sports products that are available for someone, on a Tuesday afternoon. To answer your question, because I went off on a massive tangent, you've got to, they're very discerning clients, iGaming players, and they want all the best products. So we got an Evolution integration immediately. Evolution is a huge operator that does a lot of these live games. So I think they're building them in North America as we speak, but there's a sound stage in Eastern Europe with like 4,000 studios doing these table games live. So, roulette and blackjack and all that. So that's a key product. These premium casino iGaming products, I think, are where we see growth in the market. Less so the slots and those kind of just keep pumping money into a slot games. It doesn't feel right compliance-wise.
Yeah.
So we're very keen on those live casino games because they are, you're playing a live table, albeit it's in the studio. But we'll see the development of that with developers, particularly, I hope, with a kind of Vegas product where you're seeing the live tables in Vegas and you can join a table and virtually, if you will. But I can see that product really developing and growing in North America.
Talk to me about Fitzdares and their sports betting platform. We've had all the sportsbook operators come on the show and talk about their customer service, their bonuses, promotions, and their technology. And from what I'm seeing from Fitzdares, you are top of the line and you blow other people away. Tell me about Fitzdares and what does it have to offer their customers in Canada? Because speaking as a guy sitting in New Jersey, I'm really jealous what Canada has and we don't.
Well, I think number one, it's customer service. And again, I make that kind of travel on hotel anecdote. It's when things go wrong is when you want them fixed.
Yeah.
It's when your payment hasn't come through or when your bonus hasn't been applied, you want it. And so we really have highly trained. It's not just a call center where people don't really understand gambling. All of our brokers are, gamblers themselves, for want of a better word, and understand the sport and understand the bonusing. So 99% of issues are fixed immediately. Like any new operator, we've had tech issues with payment providers and all of that, but we've been trying to bend over backwards to make sure that our first group of clients are really serviced properly. I think the problem back at launch in Ontario, April, May, June, was thousands and thousands of people coming off grey platforms, coming on to, FanDuel or DraftKings or whoever else, and having and customer services probably being operated out of North America, not Ontario, and there being issues there. Like I remember someone said they were number 720 in a line waiting for something to be fixed, which is kind of not what you want. I think if we get into the nitty gritty of it, you've got a lot of bookmakers, private equity owned or listed, whose sole purpose in entering new markets, whether that be a new province or a new state, is to get as many customers as they possibly can in the critical first 6 months. It's a kind of an absolute, like a sort of gold rush on who can pay as much as possible to get as many customers. We stepped back from playing that game because, frankly, I can't afford it or don't want to play that game. So we're more focused on having, a cohort of a couple of hundred, couple of thousand players who are really well looked after. I hope they stake more, than other customer bases to make up the shortfall in customer numbers. But I don't believe in this kind of pump and dump mentality. I think the real winners in this business will be those that can hold on to clients. I think retention is about rewarding people, great customer service, great products, great events. And I think it shouldn't be about let's get 100,000, 500, 500,000 customers on, give them all massive CPAs and pray that they keep playing, because that's just not a great business model.
I've been fascinated by the Canadian market. We've had Paul Burns on the show several times, who is the CEO of the Canadian. Yeah, he's amazing, and he's doing a great job. He's the CEO of the Canadian Gaming Association, for people out there who don't know that, and he's doing an amazing job with Canada's gaming expansion. I'm curious, for you, how does the Canadian market differ from the UK with regard to sports betting industry? Was it a different approach? Did you have to say, we have to modify what we're doing in the UK to reach the Canadian market? How did it differ, or does it differ?
Well, rule number one is if you call it ice hockey, you're dead already.
I learned that the hard way.
I made that mistake with the regulator, and I got castigated immediately, which I think is fair enough. Yeah, totally. As I said before, there's kind of less always on product. It's more about these kind of blue ribbon events.
Yeah,
I suppose basketball is the biggest sport in Ontario, and I imagine that's the same across North America. But we definitely got taken to there's an English phrase, taken to the cleaners, or having our trousers taken down by a couple of very smart hockey punters. And so we had to get the grips with that. I think ultimately we've got to realize that there are going to be these, very intense moments around big, as I said, blue ribbon sporting moments, and then very quiet days where you don't have any activity. And that's where your iGaming picks up the slack. So whereas in the UK, we have a pretty consistent flow, albeit Saturdays will be stronger because we have Premier League football and horse racing. In North America and Ontario are quite similar in that you have these quite intense moments, big sporting moments, rather than the always on. I think college sports will become more popular. I think obviously there's compliance issues around that, but that will give us more consistent product. But yeah, it's definitely a very different rhythm and flow to European sportsbooks.
You raised a couple of interesting issues, and I was very curious about this. I mean, the expansion of sports betting in the U.S. and Canada has been incredible. It has been very fast. I'm curious if the growth of sports betting in North America affected the UK sports betting market. I mean, are UK bettors starting to bet differently or bet on more North American sports than they have in the past because of the growth in North America?
I think that's probably that's a really sharp question, and it's such a good question. I haven't thought about it, but I think you're entirely correct. Mm-hmm. I think we'll probably catch up. In a sense, Premier League football, the UK's number one football league, is a kind of global event now. So that's being bet on in China to huge amounts. So what you're seeing there is a lot of shirt sponsorship from Asian bookmakers who don't even operate in the UK or England. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing this sort of cross-pollination of sport. So what you might see is more, European international sponsors, if they can beat the North American sponsors for NBA, NFL, NHL, and maybe even baseball. So what you're going to see is potentially US sport, for want of a better terminology, becoming more international. I think the NFL have been phenomenal at trying to grow the brand around the world, but they've always probably come second to soccer because it's an easier sport to get into. You don't have to spend $5,000 on helmets. You just need a piece of leather and kick it around a dirt track. So soccer has been easier to build a global brand, and it's been more challenging for US sports. But I think you're absolutely right. With more liquidity in those US sport markets, you're definitely going to see an increase in engagement and betting engagement, because people got to understand they're not the easiest sports to kind of understand. It's second nature to you, but to Europeans, like, why do you have 4 quarters? It's just completely nonsensical. And why do all these hockey players pile on and off the ice? No one understands. Mm-hmm. So, it's like cricket, probably to someone who lives in New Jersey, is completely incomprehensible. But to 2 billion people in India and Pakistan and Sri Lanka, it makes complete sense. So so I think it's a really interesting point that I think global sports will become more prominent, and I think US sports will be very successful at engaging with that. I also think having more liquidity in those markets, as I said, will make those. Are going to make those sports more popular to bet on. You're going to see better value. So the more money that's staked legally on a football match should give you better price lines.
Talk to me how Fitzdares is marketing itself to the Canadian public. I mean, certainly when I think of Fitzdares, the bettor who likes the better things in life, it has taste and things like that.
That's our new catchphrase. You've never it.
But is that the marketing plan for the Canadian sports betting and gambling customer, or what do you guys think you're doing?
So super interesting. We started in early February, 10th. I can't remember when the Super Bowl was in February. With 100 customers. We selected 100 customers in the province. We sent them letters. We asked them to be members. We gave them a free bet, and we invited them to a party where we served a lot of champagne and lobster. Mm-hmm. So that was great.
Wow.
We have been shocked, and then people have inquired, and if I'm honest, we've let a few more customers in the door. But we've been shocked by the numbers. I mean, seven figures numbers in stakes, 6 figures in GGR, in the first month, which has been phenomenal off a very small customer base. So there are high staking casino and sports punters. Sports book has been very low margin. But so the marketing, I think, when we're really confident in the tech, and we will open our doors up a little bit more in April time, we're thinking of doing some fantasy masters games.
Wow, good.
With kind of $200,000 prize pots. We do that in the UK. It's hugely successful and great fun. So that will be a great acquisition tool. We will work with some affiliate partners in the province. But what we won't be doing, I'm actually keen to sponsor some cricket tournaments in the summer in Toronto. It's like the hot sport that no one knows about, because of a lot of people that have settled in Toronto who played cricket in their original country. So that's really exciting. But I think it's stuff like we're going to do a pop-up summer house in Muskoka, and we're going to do a more permanent club in Toronto, and just those absolute luxury touchpoint activations. What we won't be doing is sponsoring kids' hockey rinks, or like just doing blanket advertising. Because I also think in Toronto already people are getting a little bit fatigued by the consistent barrage of sports betting messaging.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, when I think of Canadian sports betting, I think of how strict their advertising rules are. I mean, as a bookmaker, what do you think about those advertising policies that are put in place in Ontario? Because I know here in the United States, many states are struggling with that issue of advertising. I'm a gaming lawyer in New Jersey where there's tons of advertising. I also have an office in Massachusetts, which just started mobile sports betting 3 days ago, and they're trying to figure out how much advertising is too much advertising. So how do you feel as a bookmaker?
Yeah, I think as long as it's a level playing field, we're happy. And I get it. They're not, in Ontario, we're not allowed to advertise sign-up promotions. But once you go onto the website, it's very clear that there is one. We'll obviously be factoring that into us as we open our doors. We've had the challenges, particularly, in Europe, there's been huge challenges around over-advertising. Mm-hmm. We now have whistle-to-whistle bans. So if you're watching the game with your kids on TV, if it's during the game, yes, there might be hoarding and shirt advertising, but there'll be no TV adverts for bookmakers. Mm-hmm. I think we did a 9 p.m. watershed as well in the UK for some advertising. So it's really important that I don't think kids should be seeing endless sports betting advertising, particularly when it's their kind of sports heroes endorsing it. Yeah. So I think Ontario's got it right, but it's still frustrated people in province. So people are still getting a little bit think they went too fast. Again, this is down to that kind of key acquisition period when the province went live and everyone just threw money at it, and the shakedown tends to settle down. With sports bookmakers, over investing and then pulling the investment, and it's that kind of usual boom or bust sort of tactic. So I do worry about the long-term impact on sports betting in North America if when states go live, the marketing is too hard and too aggressive. And I think we'll be paying the price for that in a few years to come. So we need to softly enter the market, get people used to betting legally, get people used to the product, get more engagement with sports, particularly sports, new sports, and understand what responsible gambling means.
You raise a really great point. Like I said, I'm sitting here in New Jersey, and just this morning I'm seeing sportsbook ads, online casino ads, online poker ads. This morning I saw a commercial with a guy placing a bet on his phone while sitting on his toilet. So I really don't need to see things like that in the morning. But
great day, isn't it?
I know, but how challenging is it for a bookmaker to get your message out when the field is so crowded and so many gaming products out there?
Yeah.
Is that the big challenge, especially early on in the gaming process?
Well, it's tough, and that's why you start using affiliates. But affiliate advertising is super expensive, and you can give up anywhere between 20 to 40% of your profit to the affiliate that's just done one advert that's got you a customer. So it's challenge. It's really challenging. It's very noisy. I think the real, the American way of looking at this is look at the market. They can't continue as they are. There has to be a reduction in the number of operators because I'm not spending $5,000 CPA or $1,000 CPA. I can last longer in the market than some of the operators that have come in and have, blown a lot of cash on the market. So there'll definitely be a shakedown. I definitely think you can't have 20 operators in each market. It's just a few, and I think some should be. This is where you try and carve a niche out. What are you good at? Are you good at customer service? Are you the luxury equivalent? Are you the down and dirty bookie? Pick your place in the market, and hopefully, like every other sector, the insurance sector or the telecom sector, there's kind of a few big operators that will service most people.
I have to add, I'm so curious. Have people surprised you on what they bet on in North America? I mean, we have a lot of people from Canada on the show, and I asked the writer from there what people have been betting on. I just assumed a lot of hockey betting. And he said, yeah, but, we have a lot of betting on curling, which shocked the hell out of me. Are you surprised at anything people bet on?
It's funny you say that. You love these. I mean, it was during COVID, all this sort of, Belarusian ping pong. And Thai ping pong gives me the judders. But I kind of think it was quite interesting to say that in reality, basketball, because of the number of, the product is kind of there all the time, is going to be most popular. I think hockey, it's kind of pseudo-religious.
Yes.
And so I think people have been a little, they've been a little bit reticent. And I think now with more products on hockey coming available, betting on different stats, player props, I think will be huge for hockey because there's so many star players that you can get behind, and there's so many different ways to skin that bet. That will be the interesting place. I am, if I'm honest, looking for a curling feed because it has come up in our meetings, and our staff based in the province have been asking for it. So we are looking for it. There'll be some fun stuff. I think stuff that's huge in one thing, as we talked about exporting North American sports back to the Europe and the UK. I hope one sport we export the other way is darts. Darts is the most phenomenal betting sport. We have a tournament over Christmas. Well, it's the World Championship, and it's over 18 nights. And everyone, literally half the country, sit down and watch it. And if you think it's just fat guys throwing arrows at a board, you're correct. But it's also the most exciting, incredible, and perfect betting sport there is. And it complements other sports. It doesn't interrupt, a football game or anything like that. It's a nice evening activity. And going to it live you will never, ever forget going to what we call Ali Pali, the World Championship live. It is more fun than is legal. And so hopefully there are more and more North American tournaments and Canadian tournaments cropping up. It's obviously already big in Asia. So I think that's a great sport that will be hopefully exporting. And it's one that you can just play in the bar. Anyone can do it.
Well, let me ask you something that Fitzdares is known for, and that's horse racing. Do you think that's going to have much of a future in North America, or do you think that's pushed down the line a bit?
You can hear from my voice.
Yeah.
It's exasperating.
Yeah.
It is. The Jockey Club in the UK, founded 1750, was set up to make sure that betting was regulated. So that was That is one of the main bodies that runs the sport in the UK. It is a gambling sport. There is no other reason for horse racing other than to place a bet.
Yeah.
And in the UK, the first thing you do when you arrive at a racetrack is, where do I bet? And that's what it is. And it's, where do I have a drink and where do I bet? And it's not weird or horrible. It's like, the race is more interesting if you've got $5 on one of the horses.
Sure.
So, and obviously so in the UK, with a lot of the regulation around sport, horse racing gets a bit of a pass because everyone knows what they're getting in for. It's not like we're trying to get a baseball fan to bet for the first time.
Yeah.
With horse racing, you know what you're getting into. And when a parent takes a kid there, they know there's gambling. It's part of the fun of it. So that's point one. Point two, it's not in a great state in either Ontario or North America.
Yeah.
It's been run, it's regulated federally in North America. There's a big, MPs in Ontario have big, rural constituencies would be the best way, where, horse racing is a big part of that. So it has a lot of political willpower. But what I'm not seeing is the product that you see in other markets. And I think really the most engaging bookmaking product around horse racing is fixed odds betting. Yeah. And you would have heard it a million times, I'm sure, on this show. If racing is to survive in this new world of people with a casino in their pocket, they need to get on board with fixed odds betting. People want to know what they're going to win if they win the race. And this tote or PMU model is great. We have it in the UK. It's perfect. But you need, in parallel with that, is a fixed odds. I'm seeing fixed odds North American racing in the UK growing exponentially.
Wow, great.
It's growing faster than it is in the US, because it's a racing product that people can watch in the evening. They're looking at the form. I make great money from it because the margins are phenomenal, because they don't know what the price is, because there's no price in the North America. So I understand I won't be making money on it forever, but I can't wait for North American horse racing and Ontario Woodbine horse racing being on those apps in people's pockets and giving them the opportunity. And it's a great product because the data rights, i.e. you can watch the actual races in the UK from your sports app, whereas that might be more challenging around the big NHL, NBA stuff. But with horse racing, you've got a product in someone's pocket where they can just literally sit and watch a race, which I think is critical, that data piece. And I think they want fixed odds. So that means a lot of different parties need to get around a table. I know in Jersey, they're doing something with fixed odds. Yeah. And that's coming. But I mean, it can't come fast enough for the sport in America. You've got your phenomenal big events. I already mentioned the Kentucky Derby and stuff like that. But for the day-to-day sport, it needs that money from bettors, and it needs it fast. And it's exactly the same in Ontario. In Ontario, the racetracks are really racetracks with a massive casino next to them, and you go there and you realize what's making the money. It's not the racetrack, it's the casino. So we need to get horse racing back on the agenda. We need it fixed odds. It needs to be on every bookmaker's app, and we need to see that money flowing through into horse racing in North America.
Now, this summer, Fitzdares is doing something great for its customers at the Muskoka Lakes. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm not Canadian, but
I've mispronounced it now 19 times. I just can't. It was when we were over meeting people. It turns out the entire, it's like all New Yorkers head to Jersey at the weekend. Yeah. As you know, but it's in the summer. It's the kind of everyone has, well, not everyone, but the wealthier community in Toronto fly north or boat up north to summer houses, and they all have pontoons on these lakes. So we thought we'd build a little club up there and maybe brand a seaplane and have some fun doing some parties. It seems, and we do it in the UK. The Cotswolds is an area where we have a golf club and a members club. So we do it already in the UK, and it's great marketing. I used to work for a company called LVMH, Moet Hennessy, and we used to sponsor houses in the Hamptons, and it was just brilliant fun to get the audience engaged with you kind of when they're kind of not thinking about sports betting in the summer. It is a bit of a quieter time.
Sure.
And so we're going to be hosting people up there, and we can't wait.
So what does Fitzdares have planned for the future in the coming year? And more importantly for me is United States in those plans, because as a guy sitting in New Jersey, I'd love to have Fitzdares come to the U.S. market.
I suppose, and here's a world exclusive, so hopefully don't tell anyone this, but
okay.
Really, I think there's something in this taking bets peer-to-peer. So that means you texting or live chatting, or even telephoning a human being that will take a bet from you. And what that gives you is the opportunity to ask for a better price or fish for how much you can get on. Because I'm sure people that used to bet before it was legalized would talk to someone on the phone. And I'm sure they could, a computer just can't, an app can't tell you how much you can get on, or it doesn't offer you a better price, or it doesn't give you any customer service, and it isn't nice on the phone. So if we can crack that without breaking Wire Act fraud and using geolocation, we think that's critical. So that's something we're going to work on for like a private office client. I have my eyes on a kind of New York scares me a little bit because of taxation.
Yeah, taxes are big.
I've got my eyes, and this could take years and years, but I do have my eyes on Florida and California. Okay. We know we have a great potential customer base in those places, because some of the people who live in those places come to the UK over the summer and bet with us. And so those are great opportunities. That's going to take a lot of time, as you know, and I'm sure you discussed previously. But we do see those as two great opportunities in North America. There's obviously the rest of Canada, which we're hoping will be a relatively easy step because of all the work Ontario's made. And then I just think it's just doing things brilliantly. The dream is we'll have, a box at the Super Bowl, or we'll have clubs in different cities, and just growing that brand awareness state by state, and just understanding the local market, what people want to bet on, and then creating these kind of super luxury sports bars. And we think there's enough to get on with. And then I suppose the bit I also alluded to earlier was our fantasy game. We will miss the Masters this year, but we'll launch that. And that could be delivering a pod up to $500,000 million, which we don't run as a profitable enterprise. You just put $100 in, and then you pick 5 players and a spare, and then you watch our leaderboard as the Masters goes on, and it is the most fun you can have as a fantasy game. And as long as the pot's $500,000, people will want to play.
Wow. William, we're running out of time, but can you give out Fitzdares' website and social media addresses so people can check it out and find out all the great things Fitzdares is doing for its customers? And also, where can people download your app?
We're in the App Store, so thank you for the plug. It's brilliant. I think
no problem.
We're Fitzdares.ca in Ontario. If you want to go to our brand website, it's Fitzdares.com, and it's quite easy to find us on Instagram and Twitter, and we have handles for both Canada and the UK, Europe, and Ireland. Do visit us. Yeah, we're in the App Store, or Android or whatever else you use. You can find our desktop, and we're now operating in Ontario. So thank you so much, Dave.
William Woodhams, CEO of Fitzdares, thank you so much for coming on and telling us all about Fitzdares and its plans for the future. It's such a legendary bookmaker, and it's so great to see what you're doing for your customers, not only in the UK, but also in Canada. Please come back on and keep us updated about what's happening with Fitzdares, because you have such incredible plans for the future. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Dave, and keep doing what you're doing. We love the show.
Oh, thank you.
And that'll do it for us this week. We'll see you next time on The Turnpike.